Welcome to Our Girl Relationships. On this channel, we talk about problems people face in their day to day lives. Let's start with a video.
I married into a wealthy family, and that seems to be my crime because I am constantly being treated like I don't belong. I'll call my husband Joseph, even though that's not his real name. Joseph and I met at a mutual friend's birthday party. The first time I saw him, I was blown away. Like, how could one person be this fine and so sculpted with all the abs and muscles in the right place? He was wearing a shirt that showed off his amazing build. I was almost drooling. My friend Lizzie had to snap me back to reality. I was so embarrassed and hoped that no one except Lizzie noticed. He approached me. Thank God. If he hadn't, before the night was over, I had made up my mind to go to him. Anyways, we got talking and I loved his personality. He looked like a player, but he actually wasn't. He was in a relationship some years before we met that ended badly and hadn't been with anyone since. We quickly became friends. Yes, he friend zoned me for about 6 months, and it was killing me inside because I was so wanted to be more than just friends. During those 6 months, we kind of grew on each other and we became inseparable. Our friends wondered why we kept lying to ourselves and wouldn't just date already. You could feel the chemistry between us from miles away. I understood why he didn't want to take things further. It was his first relationship since he got heartbroken and he was being extra careful. I made up my mind to give him all the time he needed until he was sure that he trusted me enough to tell me how he felt and what he really wanted. And if he never did, we would just be great friends. I thought I could live with that. He was really amazing. Joseph came from an elite family, and I didn't know that until we were 5 months into our friendship. He preferred to leave that out of our conversation because people usually tried to use it to get what they wanted from him. I, on the other hand, had to work and go to school. My parents were barely able to cater to my younger ones, so I had to mature really fast and learn to take care of myself. Hence, the reason why I am very independent and I don't know how to ask for help is that Joseph wants to provide everything for me, and it annoys him when I try to act independently with him. Anyways, Joseph couldn't lie to himself anymore. I was at his house one summer afternoon and we were in his pool and he kissed me. That was really unexpected, but yikes, I loved it. He told me that he was in love with me and had been for months and couldn't hold it any longer. My reply was finally, and I went in for another kiss. We, of course, started to date at that time. After another 6 months, he proposed to me. The first time I met his family, it was some drama. His sisters were so sweet, but his mom could pass as the devil herself. She looked at me like I was nothing and ignored me the entire time. Everyone else, including his dad, was lovely to me, and they sent in their silent apologies. His mom only paid attention to me when she wanted to ask humiliating questions. Joseph tried to stop her, but the damage was already done. I decided that I would not play her games and I was going to treat her right. When Joseph proposed to me, she was my only concern and he knew. He promised that he would protect me from her until she understood and accepted me. I couldn't run away from my love because his mother didn't like me. I knew I was going in for it by continuing with our plans to get married, even though I knew that mother in law would frustrate me. But I wasn't strong enough to let Joseph go. I couldn't just do it, so I'm here tolerating her as best I can. We got married. Mother in law is not the happiest, but I do not care. Something ridiculous happened though. Some months after we got married, the family was invited for a business dinner or something like that. I can't remember what it was exactly, but we were going to dine and wine and also listen to some presentations. Joseph was supposed to be there, so he asked me to come. I was a little hesitant, but he persuaded me, and I finally agreed after he said I was going to meet like minded people. And I didn't have to cross paths with my mother in law after we arrived. I knew he would say anything to get me to come with him. The venue looked lovely and sophisticated, and I was ready to have some business fun. I loved interacting with people and networking. My husband drove, so mother in law and I came down first while Joseph went to park the car properly. Once we came in, I was ready to run away from mother in law, and Joseph would have to find me when he came in. Before I got the chance to leave, the hostess came in and greeted us. Mother in law introduced me as her maid, and I was in shock. She didn't give me the chance to explain myself, and frankly, if I did, I would have caused a scene, so I let it go and walked away. At that time, the best thing happened because I saw someone I knew. It was Lizzie. We were both surprised to see each other. She told me that she was there for work and didn't think I would be there. She noticed that something was up with me, but I told her not to worry about it. She knew about my issues with my mother in law and had told me several times to stand up to her and put her straight, but I refused for Joseph's sake. I told her that I was going to speak to mother in law about it because if I wanted to enjoy my night with Joseph, I'll need it off my chest. I went to look for her, and she did it again, and this time it was more humiliating. I found a way to get her somewhere secluded and gave her a piece of my mind. I told her that just because I wasn't born into a rich home didn't make me worthless. I had worked too hard to climb the social ladder, and I deserved to be respected. I wasn't her maid and would never be. Her reply was shocking. She said the most hurtful things to me. She said that she considered me even less than a maid and couldn't wait for her son to see who I truly was, so that he would leave me. She wished that he could see that I was only with him for the money and that I was a worthless gold digger. She said so many other things that are too painful for me to remember. I couldn't understand why this woman hated me so much. I have been nothing but nice to her from the very beginning, but she never ceased to treat me badly. I left to go meet Joseph as I wondered what I was thinking, trying to make her see reason. Once Joseph saw me, he knew something was up, and I couldn't hold back the tears. He hugged me tightly as I cried over his shoulder. Now Joseph was really angry because I wasn't the one to cry, and he knew that his mom was the reason for what was going on with me. I pleaded with him not to make a scene and wait until we got home at least. After a few minutes, it was time for some presentations, and my friend was going to present as well. When it was her turn, I was shocked to hear my voice, and then I realized what was going on. She had recorded the conversation between my mother in law and me, and everyone heard the horrible things she said to me. Well, now there was no going back. I felt embarrassed, but at the same time, I was thankful to my friend for what she did, since I was sure this would definitely get mother in law off my back. I was sorry for embarrassing the whole family. I told Joseph that I really didn't know that my friend was recording, and if I did, I wouldn't have let her play it. Mother in law was so angry. She left the place crying. Everyone looked at her like she was this horrible person. We went to mother in law's house instead of ours because I had insisted on clearing the air. I didn't want our friendship to get worse because I knew that it might if she thought I purposely set her up. My husband didn't care and said it served her right, but I insisted. When I got to her house, father in law was there and he seemed confused. He said she came home and was very cranky. She went into their bedroom and locked it and wouldn't open it even for him. We told him what happened and he didn't know how exactly to react. I kept apologizing and explaining myself, but he said it wasn't my fault and that she brought it upon herself. He asked Joseph and me to go home and that he was going to handle her from then on. I called Lizzie and told her that she had no right to interfere in the way that she did. I knew that she did it out of love for me, but the public embarrassment wasn't worth it because it didn't only affect my mother in law, but me as well as my husband's family. I told her that she could have shown me the video first, or at least told me what was going on. She wasn't happy with me and said I was being ungrateful. I admitted that I loved that my mother in law got what she deserved, but I wish it wasn't in the way that it happened because of the other people involved. Joseph and I tried to reach mother in law for days since the incident, but she wasn't responding to us. Joseph was happy and loved Lizzie even more for what she did. He even called her to apologize on my behalf for being angry with her. He wasn't making that much effort to talk to his mom. He only tried because I was making a fuss about it. He said that I was too good and that I felt sorry for those who hurt me when they got what they deserved, which was one of the reasons he loved me. NTA, I love your friend. She did what you were too weak to do, and someone had to give your mother in law a taste of her own medicine. NTA, please don't feel bad. You should be rejoicing like Joseph is. You got the last laugh.
Next story.
I, a 19-year-old female, went to my brother's cousin engagement, arranged marriage, a few weeks back. I was wearing a light color lehenga traditional dress. I thought my sister-in-law, to be, would be wearing something in dark shade. Lehenga or sari because it's very common in Desi weddings. However, my sister-in-law wore a gown which unfortunately was very dull, but the same color as mine. I chose that certain shade because it was light, and people here don't wear light shades on their own wedding. It is an arranged marriage, so it was the first time I met her. Even if I wanted to ask what she's going to wear, it would have been impossible for me. The bride and her family, including sister and friends, gave me side and disappointed looks the whole time. The bride seemed very pissed, and the family around us started talking and saying things like, I looked better than her, and my dress was better than hers. That made me very sad because it was her day and I never wanted it to ruin. It was impossible for me to go back and change because it was the only lehenga I had, and I lived 120 plus kilometers away from the destination. I kept a very low profile on the engagement. They called me plenty of times on the stage. I took a few pictures and then went away from the stage. They usually want the sister to stay on the stage the whole time. But bride's sister and friends gave me looks and were very pissed. Bride's sister was staring at me, which made me uncomfortable. This, unfortunately, became a very hot topic for both the families. Every time we all meet, they bring up the same topic of how I was looking better than her, and she should have chosen a better color because it was her engagement. I don't blame her, and I don't think it's my fault, but bride's family is making me feel like an AH. Few days after the engagement, the bride's mom called my brother's mom, aunt, and straight away told her to uninvite us from the wedding, which is next month. And I've already bought a dress, again, a very light color, because the bride was pissed and I didn't like what happened in the engagement. My aunt told them she ain't gonna uninvite us just because the bride is pissed for a mere coincidence and we are a close family. I was very excited to attend my cousin's wedding because it's the last one in our family. Am I the a-hole for wearing a better shade of the same color than the bride? People are getting confused. Okay, so here's the thing. In my country, we use brother/sister for both siblings and cousins. He is my cousin, aunt's son, but I call him brother. Just got the call. We'll receive the invite tomorrow. The wedding is only this month, not the next month. I'll update this if anything happens after attending the wedding. Hi there. Also Desi here, and regular lehenga wearer. This is absolutely not your fault, and you are NTA. I think the bride's family are behaving terribly, but that's not news as it's a wedding. I think this is going to keep happening as more and more brides adopt Western-style colors and designs. You have not told us the exact color, but general rule of thumb is to avoid white, cream, champagne, pink, purple, or red at a wedding mehendi party. NTA, as a Muslim woman myself, your brother, his mom, could have asked her what color she was wearing to avoid this. In my family, we've asked, whether it's the mom or the person getting married, the bride what color she's wearing to avoid this problem on the mehendi. Wedding and walima. She doesn't have to show us the dress. Just a photo of the color up close is enough, and we all avoid it. It is literally that simple to do.
Next story.
I, 30, female, accompanied my mother-in-law to a gathering because my husband was busy and she cannot drive. They were gossiping, as women, grandparents do. I recently had a baby, 2.5 months ago, on my last week of maternity leave. She was talking about how her son is such a hard worker and how caring he is, which is all true. When her friends asked about her daughter-in-law, me, she said how I'm a terrible cook, which is also true. So I just used some self humiliating jokes here, and it didn't bother me too much. However, later, they were asking her who takes care of the baby at night, and the topic changed to household chores and house duties. After the other women shared about their daughter in law, son, sister in law, etc., my mother in law started to rant about me. She said my home is always a mess. I don't cook for my husband. I make my husband get up with me every night. He feeds the baby and changes our son in 20-25 minutes. It takes me about 30 to 40 minutes to pump and clean the parts. I am lazy at home because I spend a lot of time cuddling with my baby, sleep all day long, I don't wash my husband's laundry, etc. Basically implied my husband was the breadwinner while I was a leech. I felt like even if I were an SAHM, I shouldn't have to do it all. Here is the ridiculous portion. I'm a doctor. I make 3 times my husband's salary. I worked just as much as him prior to birth. Worked up to 38.5 weeks, induced at 39 weeks. I'm not belittling women who are SAHM/HW who want to make the house a home, but I had made it clear to both my husband and his family that I was a career woman and not someone who wants to or enjoys keeping up with house chores beyond what is expected of a basic adult. I have great respect for women who are SAHM. I find that they work much harder than my own. So I made it known to the group. The women all started to say, "Oh, of course she wouldn't be like you. She's not a SAHM." My mother in law has no education, spent her life caring for her son and keeping up the home, which again is fine in my book, but don't expect me to do both. My mother in law's face turned red from anger and embarrassment. She insisted we leave the party and then yelled at me for embarrassing her in front of her friends and coworkers. My husband doesn't agree with what she said at the gathering, but said I should have saved her face in public and talked about it at home. He did tell his mother that her actions were wrong as well, and she should not have painted his wife, me, in such a poor and inaccurate picture in public. I put Asian because I feel like this is not uncommon among Asians. I'm also Asian, and I know others who do this, and we care a lot about our face in public. We usually have a lot of pride in our son. My family and his are the same ethnicity, but I was raised mostly in America. Also, she has co-workers because her husband, my belated father-in-law, died young, so she had to get a job to support herself while her son, my husband, was in school. She's still working now, but we're financially supporting a small portion of her expenses: phone bills, property tax, etc. NTA. Pot kettle, anyone? She does not get to be mad and blame you for embarrassing her when she was the one who did it intentionally to make herself feel better than you. You just stated the truth, and it was not meant as an insult. She is the one that should apologize to you for belittling you to her friends. Oh, and yeah, congratulations on your new baby. Also, as long as stuff is clean, a little mess never hurt anyone.